Hello, Trekstonians. So welcome back to the second of Trekstock Talks. I'm Toby, I'm one of the network members, and today we are talking on hidden illnesses and transport. And we are looking at specifically this magical badge that has been brought into place by TfL recently. And so lots of questions being sent in to us, and today we are very fortunate to be in the presence of two people who are bringing their perspectives to their understanding of this badge. And we have Peter here, who is a communications and engagement manager on accessibility at Transport for London. And you may notice we have Katie here, who is a member of the Trekstock committee and is here to give her opinion on the badge as somebody who suffers with CML. And so, well, the first thing we're going to talk about is basically what this is about, because it's quite new, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very new thing. So it's a badge and there is an accompanying card that's to help people with invisible impairments, conditions, illnesses, helping them get a seat on public transport. So people that struggle to stand currently and it isn't immediately obvious that they need a seat can wear this badge and obviously have other customers get up for them, or give them a bit more encouragement to ask other customers to get up for them and give them a seat.
And why has this come into play? Why? Because TfL, they're the first ones in Europe, is that right? To try something like this?
Well, I guess it's kind of a bit of a follow-on from Baby on Board. We've had that for a number of years. And we had so much kind of correspondence and feedback from people saying, oh, you've got a Baby on Board badge for pregnant women, how about something for us? I'm undergoing chemotherapy, I've got whatever other condition, and I need a seat too, but people don't get up for me, I don't really have a great experience, and something like that would really help me too.
And this has been trialled for 6 months, is that right?
We trialled it for 6 weeks in September and October last year. The trial went really well. 98% of the people who took part said they would like us to roll it out more. We had 1,200 people taking part in the trial, going around, testing it out, seeing if it works, see if it was successful, and it was. So we decided to launch it, and it will be available to everyone who needs it in a month or two.
And we have somebody who was part of the trial. I actually have Katie's badge, and I said that I would give it back to her right now, because otherwise you'd be really annoyed because I might just steal it. That might happen. So you were on the trial, Katie,
yes.
And why did you decide to take part in the trial?
So I was invited to take part in the trial through someone that I met on Twitter who made the Cancer on Board badge when he went through treatment, and he has a nice relationship with Transport for London, and when he was told about it, he said to me, this is happening, you should get involved. And so I have lived with CML for just over 10 years. I have whinged I moved to London in January 2009, so I've whinged since 2009 about there not being anything for people like me who, you know, generally speaking, I look absolutely fine, you know, good days, bad days. But why should anyone stand up and offer me a seat when, you know, I've clearly got my hair and all the rest of it? So amazingly, through James doing something about it when he was diagnosed going through treatment, and meeting him, and then Transport for London having their own things going on behind the scenes, when I was told about it, I was like, this is amazing. So
what happened before? So before these badges came in, had you had experiences where you were desperate for something like this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it a day-to-day thing?
Yeah, it generally speaking, it is every time I would, more for the tube than the bus, I think. Generally speaking, if you're not on the bus in rush hour, you can get a seat, generally speaking, depending on route and all the rest of it. But getting on the tube, I used to worry about it a lot, because I would never announce to it, because everyone's quiet on the tube. I was never going to say to someone, excuse me, I really need to sit down, and to explain to a whole tube carriage of strangers that actually you can't tell, but I live with cancer and I have chronic fatigue as a side effect of treatment. I take chemotherapy every day. I need your seat more than you do. Please give it to me. And so I just used to mentally bully myself through tube journeys. Sometimes I would look so exhausted that I'd be offered a seat. That did happen. Or if I was with my parents are pretty good at, especially my mother, like nipping in there, and she is not old. She is older now than she has been previously, and she's now getting to the point where people stand up for her. And she says, "Oh yes, thank you," and then lets me sit in it, and everyone's a bit like, "Why are you letting your daughter sit there?" Anyway, so getting on the tube could be, you know, and I have frequently, in fact I did it even at the weekend, I'm so exhausted I just phone home and cry because I don't know how I can physically find the energy to get onto the public transport, let alone if there's going to be a seat for me or not. So the fact that I can wear my badge and it's seen and I don't get glared at for not standing up when someone else gets on who looks like they need the seat more than me. I've had people talking about me for not standing up. I've had some not particularly pleasant experiences. Not that anyone's ever come up to me and said stand up, but the fact that I can display this badge, and I did actually trial this badge on its own and then with the Cancer on Board badge, and the combination of the two is more powerful. And people, they stand up. And in fact, I was on the tube, it's not that long ago, and I got on and a guy clocked the badges and caught my eye and stood up and sort of went like that across the seat, so no one else could sit in it until I got to it. You know, and that's amazing. And I've had people see it from the other side of the carriage and say, you know, do you want to come and sit down? Because even though I am incredibly comfortable about talking about living with cancer and the side effects and all the mental health issues that go alongside it, I don't really want to start up that conversation with someone that I don't know on the tube when I'm tired, because I just cry.
There's also you're going about your day-to-day life, your job and things like that, and sometimes you don't want to have to juggle all those things at the same time.
If people ask, I talk to them about it, and people do. Having the badges just means that I don't have to worry ever about getting on the tube. And for someone who lives in London, trying to work, getting around all the time, that's huge.
And I guess, Peter, this is why this was brought in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's brought in so Katie or people like Katie don't have to justify themselves to other people to say, I really need this seat, and explain the reasons why in a public space. It takes away that awkwardness, takes away having to have that conversation. As Kate says, if someone wants to kind of slightly have it, they can, but you don't want to have to do that every single time. You need something as simple as having a seat. And when we did the trial, another thing that we did in it was not just testing how successfully people got a seat, but also what were their confidence levels in having it. And when they applied to take part in the trial, we asked how confident they currently were using public transport. And then as we went on, every time recording a journey and how something went, we asked them again. And we saw people's confidence going up in not only getting a seat, but also using public transport in general. And all those negative things kind of going down as well, self-consciousness and things like that going down. So I think it's been a really positive way for us to kind of support a lot of different people, but also educate our customers a little bit more. People know what cancer is, or know what autism is, or know what epilepsy is, but they have never really put this two and two together about what it means about needing a seat. And I think it's really great as well, Katie's stories about people being nice. We have this thing in London where Londoners are mean and we don't care about each other, but it just goes to show that people do, and people will get up, and there are nice people out there.
Yeah, and one of the things we see quite a lot is that people assume that a cancer diagnosis and living with cancer means that you look a certain way, especially that you're not a young person, right? And that's one of the major things that we talk about here at Trekstock and the other charities as well. And I think it's that's you talk about educating Londoners in a way. It's about acknowledging that this is part of a day-to-day life, and that you're still going about your job. It's not that you're sat at home doing your life continues, but you have this hidden illness as well. And so talk to us about eligibility, because that's so. How are TfL going to run that? What's the process of trying to get one for people in the Trekstock network?
So what we've decided is that this is would be totally self-selecting, and you decide yourself whether if you struggle to stand when using public transport, if you have chronic fatigue or any other reason, that you decide yourself. We're not interested to know your medical history or making you jump through some hoop of getting a GP's note. You'll just be able to come directly to us and apply on an online form. All we'll ask is your details, your name and address details, so we can send you out the badge and the card, and that will be it. It's up to you, and we really want to take that approach. We don't want to put additional burden on disabled people or people with hidden illnesses. They already have enough paperwork and whatever, and all these forms to fill out as we don't want to give them another thing of that. And we trust our customers to judge for themselves whether they need it. I mean, it's a total choice. You don't have to have one. You can still need a seat, but choose that I don't want to wear one. But we're not interested in finding out about people's personal lives. It's up to you. I need this. I'm going to apply for one.
And that must be a thing, Katie, that it goes through the mind of when you choose to put that badge on, because you are there's always a thing about labelling, right? Yeah. And we see that a lot with, especially in like youth cancers, I guess, and cancer across the board. But so do you think that for you, you're very open about talking about your cancer experiences. For people who perhaps are at the start, and like, what do you think you 7-9 years ago, let's say, like early on, like, do you think you would have worn one of these?
No, because I was in denial about the whole thing, basically. And I think also, I'm lucky. So when I felt ill, I had to go back to my parents and be an ill person. So I wasn't in London then, and I was essentially bed and sofa bound. Unfortunately, my experience of the side effects and the chronic fatigue, the side effect of the chemotherapy, is that it's become more of an accumulative thing over the years. So the longer I'm on treatment, the worse it gets. So to be fair, in the beginning, and also I was a student.
Yes, yeah.
And I read an arts degree first time round. So you're in uni 3 minutes a week, and so I spent a lot of time sleeping.
Well, I did an arts thing. I was in 5 days a week.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
4 hours a week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So very different to the science degree, which I've also done. So I think my life experience was very different.
Yes,
But having said that, I was in Edinburgh, which is tiny. I had a car, and I had a car blue badge.
Yes.
So actually, that was my lifesaver then, was that I didn't have to walk anywhere. I could drive everywhere and park anywhere. You can park on double yellow lines in Scotland with one. So I mean, you can. So actually, having said that, if I hadn't have had a car and a blue badge for the car, it would have been a very different experience.